I booked a studio and no one showed up. Okay, well, that's not entirely true. But essentially what I did was I decided to book out the studio space in Gastown. And my idea was to host mini photo sessions. These would be about a 30 to 40-minute session consisting of a mix of digital and film photos. I decided to book the studio for a couple hours, and I posted on my Instagram to see who was interested. And I posted this about a month in advance, hoping that I would actually end up booking the entire chunk of time. It's not entirely true that nobody showed up, but it didn't happen in the circumstances in which I thought it would. Essentially, I had a friend reach out to me saying, "Hey, I'm interested in getting some photos done for Valentine's Day." And I said, "Sounds great. I actually have a studio booked. Do you want to come down, check it out, and take some photos?" So that ended up being the plan, and they're going to come a little bit later today, and we're going to take some photos here in the studio and use up a good chunk of time because essentially that's all I have booked out for this space. So instead of letting the studio space go to waste, I decided to do something that I have not done in a very long time, which is take self-portraits. When critiquing a self-portrait, I'm trying to think, am I critiquing the photography itself? Am I critiquing the composition, the lighting, the framing? Or am I just critiquing myself? Am I critiquing how I look and how I think I look and certain features of my physical appearance? And right now, I'm really trying to separate myself from that and to not really focus on necessarily how I look per se, but how the photo looks. And it's proving to be a bit difficult. So I'm going to try a couple different angles, maybe shooting a little bit lower, doing some sitting shots, and changing things up. And we'll see what we can get. One of my personal gripes, or maybe struggles, with taking self-portraits is I always feel like the photos don't turn out very dynamic. What I mean by that is I find that when I'm putting a camera on a tripod and I'm standing in front of it, I don't feel like the angles, the composition is as interesting, it lacks movement, because I personally find that obviously when you're behind the camera taking photos of someone else, it's a bit easier to kind of get those more dynamic shots. You're able to move around a bit more freely. I personally find that just putting my camera on the tripod and making it work is very, very difficult. So today I'm really trying to push myself, one, to create good self-portraits, and two, to sort of figure out how I can create interesting, dynamic self-portraits. There's one photographer that I've seen on Instagram and TikTok. I'll put her information somewhere on the screen. And I think she does a phenomenal job of taking self-portraits. They're interesting, they're dynamic, she has great compositions, her editing style is also really, really great. And I remember seeing these and thinking, wow, these feel so intentional, they're so well done. And for me, probably because I'm a bit rusty. I'm definitely like feeling a bit frustrated. And, you know, when I'm taking photos and looking at them, I'm kind of like, well, kind of absolutely hate this photo. So yeah, we're just going to keep trying. I'm going to try to figure out a couple different angles, some different compositions, and just keep it going. I know sometimes it can be hard to see photos of ourselves. And I think this is also maybe a little bit of a lesson in self-love and self-compassion. I've definitely had before where photographing clients and they say, I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. I don't like having my photo taken. And I get it. I completely get it. It can be awkward and weird and uncomfortable. However, I think putting myself in front of the camera and trying to create photos that I like is a great way for me to sort of put myself in their shoes. Okay, so I just wrapped up shooting, and I'm not absolutely blown away with the results of my self-portraits. However, I did end up taking a couple photos of, well, I guess they're self-portraits, they just don't involve my face. And I found that this was quite fun and quite enjoyable in terms of just being in front of the camera. But yeah, I think I was still running into some of the same problems. Struggling to make the photos feel interesting and feel dynamic. I just find that when you're shooting with a camera, you're just able to be so much more agile and move around. And when you set it up on the tripod, I feel like for me personally, I find it to be such a creative block. But overall, great experience, and I definitely think that I would rent out a studio again. Hopefully it would get booked, and hopefully I would have some clients come in and do some photos. But yeah, this was a great experience. I had a lot of fun, and it was nice to just sort of dedicate some time and energy into just being creative and doing a little bit of solo work, photography-wise. So yeah. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.